everyone, welcome back to Real Red Talk, your favourite football fan channel dedicated to Manchester United. This is your preview for the game against Reading at Old Trafford in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Not the most sparkling fixture of the calendar, but all competitions are important. We have to take it serious. Shreyas, welcome to the show. How are you feeling about tomorrow?
Yeah, feeling pretty confident. I think once again we'll see some new faces in the team. Probably we'll be seeing, hopefully another dominant performance from United. Maybe hopefully we're able to keep the momentum from that Nottingham win keep going into our future fixtures, especially the game tomorrow and the game that we've got after that. Plus, yeah, I think definitely. Uh, I think the only reason that could be a slight cause of worry would be which players would be picked, whether some players would be overplayed because we've just had a game against Nottingham, so don't really want to risk injuries on any of our star players.
No, absolutely not. Because we have got games coming thick and fast at a minute, guys. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video for your football fix. As always, there'll be a live watch along tomorrow for this game. I believe it's about an 8 o'clock kickoff or something
Yeah,
like that.
8 o'clock.
So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the 8 o'clock late kickoffs on a Saturday, but it is what it is.
Definitely.
I suppose we're trying to kind of fit these games in wherever we can in it at the minute. So
Yeah.
we'll be live on TikTok and YouTube from 7 o'clock. Make sure you come and join us for the reaction to team news, and we'll go through the watch along together. Let's kick the preview off then. I'm sure as
Yeah.
a little bit of a warm up. Out of the 4 competitions we're currently in, including obviously top 4, rank your importance in terms. How am I saying that? Rank the importance in your opinion. There we go. I've got there in the end.
I think
For you, what do you want most?
I think for me, what I want most would be the Carabao Cup first. Um, then I
Over
would
top
be
4, Europa League and the FA Cup.
yeah, because I think we can just win the Europa League and get into the Champions League anyway.
Oh right, okay. All right. But in terms of, I mean, like in not obviously we've got the best chance of winning the Carabao Cup, but you'd rather win that than the FA Cup and the Europa League. Is that what you're saying?
I think realistically, considering the situation that we are in at the moment, I think out of all the competitions, I think if you have to take our chances, I think once again the Carabao Cup is realistically a best shot at winning a trophy this season. I think in the Europa League, once again, it would be coming down to whether our first team players are fit enough, whether they still
Yeah.
carry that same amount of momentum and same amount of energy that they're carrying on with right now. Hopefully, we don't have any injuries, and we'll be up against pretty good competition in the Europa League as well. We've got good competition in Barcelona coming up pretty soon as well. So
Mm.
yeah, I think
Napoli,
yeah,
Napoli as well, top of the league, aren't they? Italian
uh,
league by 9-10 points something.
yeah. So I think there's definitely good quality in the Europa League at the moment, and except that I would say uh, I think it's been far too long that we've won a trophy at Manchester United. I think even these players, they need that winner mentality on. They need that
Yeah.
sort of mentality that they can actually deliver trophies because uh, these players have choked in many situations when even when it has to come to the league, even when it has to come to the Europa League final that we had against Villarreal. So I think this team needs a change of pace. It definitely needs a trophy. So because sometimes all it takes is just one trophy to get these players and make them hit a completely different level. So for me, I would definitely prioritize a trophy first, and according to me, I think the best chance that we have at a trophy this season is the Carabao Cup. After that, I would prioritize top 4 and then the Europa League.
Yeah, apologies if you heard some feedback then on audio. I don't know if you heard it or not. It was coming through my chair. Completely forgot my chair speaker was on, so there was some audio coming through. I apologise for that for audio listeners. Yeah, the next question I've got for you: name 3 talents who should get a start tomorrow. Who you believe should get a start tomorrow?
Pellistri, uh, except that, uh,
Shocking, shocking what you said. Breaking news.
I think Pellistri should start. I think Kobe Mainu could also get a start tomorrow.
I agree.
He looked solid in his debut game for United, playing as a 10.
No, do you know he's been registered on the
Yeah,
as a first teamer now
yeah,
on the website?
yeah,
I don't know if you
yeah,
saw that or not.
yeah, he has been. Yes, and I think except that could probably be seeing Zidane Iqbal or someone along those lines because except that I don't really see many of our youngsters who have been in and around the first team. if I have to take out Zidane Iqbal or Pelistri or Kobe Manu, because except that everyone else has not really been that around the first team. So I think realistically only two academy players could be getting a call up tomorrow, and definitely we could be seeing Garnacho getting a start tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last one, who is our top scorer in the FA Cup? Do you want to take a guess?
I have no idea.
Just take a wild guess. Go for it. Think about our strikers that we've had. Just go for it.
Wayne
Because
Rooney?
I wouldn't have got this. Yeah, correct. See what I'm saying? Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Yeah, Wayne Rooney's got 22 in 40. Nistelrooy 14 in 14. Ronaldo 13 in 27, and then Rashford has 8 in 26. So he's the one, obviously the only one in our squad at the minute,
Yeah.
Who's close to them kind of records. So yeah, let's take a look at the opposition for tomorrow night. Won't come as a surprise that we don't watch Reading week in, week out. So I've had to do a little bit of digging in regards to the current form and how things are going this season. In the last 5 games, they've lost to Stoke 4-0, drew with QPR 2-2, beat Watford to advance into this round with us in the FA Cup, but got beat off West Brom and drew with Norwich. So they're in pretty shit form at the minute. They're scrapping for points in the Championship. For us, we obviously bounced back against Nottingham Forest in the League Cup after a draw to Palace and losing at the Emirates. But due to upcoming fixture congestion, do you expect us to heavily rotate for this, Shreyas?
Yeah, I think we definitely do rotate because we've got really big games coming up. I think we need to refine our momentum in the Premier League as well. I think Ten Hag would definitely be looking into getting some points in the Prem and cementing that position in third. So that we aren't in a position where we are once again in a fight with Spurs or someone's for a position in the top 4. I think right now Ten Hag would be looking to prioritize and cement that third position in the Prem so that he can focus on other competitions and he can rotate the squad much better. And yeah, I think except that, a lot of players definitely can be rotated tomorrow. There are players who can feature for us. You've got Victor Lindelof, you've got Harry Maguire, you've got the likes of McTominay and Fred. So definitely there are players who can be used in tomorrow's fixture. And I think, but once again, the way that we have been playing, I expect at least these players to turn up against a team like Reading.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think there's room to start to believe maybe Ten Hag could win a couple of trophies? There's obviously a lot of noise around the Carabao Cup, and we're probably the favourites of that. But you look at the other ones that we're in. I know you said Europa League is quite tough, but is there any percentage of you at all that thinks maybe you can win, I don't know, a couple?
Yeah, I think realistically, right now we are the only team in the Prem who is present in all competitions that we started in this tournament in this season, and I think Ten Hag has been doing a phenomenal job, especially against the big teams. There is only one game that we've lost this season against a big team, comprehensively, and that has been Man City. Except that all other games they have been either tight or we've actually been really comfortable in those games.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think I do expect us to go deep into the Europa League. We could probably even make the finals and win the whole thing altogether. I think right now we do have the players, and we do have the players with the right mentality at the club. Because I think in certain situations and certain times you don't even need. I would say in certain games you don't need that much squad depth. You just need your whole team to actually play as a unit, and we have been seeing it on a lot of occasions, especially the game against City. We saw that the reason why we won that game was till the 90th minute, till the final whistle, all our players stuck together. They never gave up till the final whistle. They kept on going, and we managed to get a last minute winner against City. So yeah, and we definitely be seeing a lot of tweets as well after the Arsenal game that we'll see you in the Europa League soon. So yeah, you never know. Probably we could be seeing another United versus Arsenal fixture this season in the Europa League, which could be pretty realistic as well.
You literally just took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say, let me paint a scenario for you. Arsenal United in the final. Because obviously 1-up at the Emirates. So they beat us at the Emirates and we beat them at Old Trafford. So it's kind of like it's a trilogy, innit? It's going to be a trilogy.
Yeah, and this time we'll be coming with our first team.
Yeah, exactly.
Not with our second team.
Well, Casemiro, more importantly. We've got a comment from, I'm going to struggle, Lies Around Me. How come Zidane has not played for United yet? He had a great one season, Ten Hag said he could do, he could not believe a player like Zidane has not played enough for United. To be honest, it's an interesting one with Zidane Iqbal. I believe he should have got more minutes. Judging from what I saw in pre-season, he played a very similar style to like a Frankie de Jong, but great
Hmm.
ball carrier, good dribbler, good on the ball. So I am actually surprised that he hasn't got minutes, but the way Ten Hag's been treating these tournaments, he's gone really serious in them, hasn't
Yeah. I think definitely he has a point to prove. The moment that he came into Manchester United in his first press conference, he pretty much laid it out that, when whatever game we play, whatever competition it is, we won't be taking it lightly. And it has pretty much shown in whatever stage of the tournament that we are in. Ten Hag has always, gone in with a really, really tough squad, and we managed to get the results in those fixtures. I think the one of the biggest reasons why we haven't really been seeing Zidane Iqbal that much is because our midfield has actually been functioning really well in the past few
he?
weeks. Um, I think Bruno has definitely stepped up. I think even though he's not at the level where where we can say that he's at his best, I think there's still a point to reach. But even though he's not there yet, he's performing quite well. I think his work rate is insane. He's everywhere on the pitch, and considering that we are playing 3 games a week, the way he is able to play on the pitch, I think definitely Bruno is in undroppable form at the moment. I think definitely Casemiro picks himself in that squad. He's the reason why we are in this in such a comfortable position in top four. And except that, I think even Ericsson in the games where we come up against teams that play a low block, I think Ericsson proves to be really fundamental. Already got 7 to 8 assists this season, and then we've got players like Fred who can come on as an impact sub for 15 to 20 minutes. So definitely it's going to be tough for someone like, Zidane Iqbal to actually feature or
Mm.
get that many minutes.
But Liza Rami says he could be great cover for Ericsson. I agree in terms of
Yeah.
the style of player that he is, but he's obviously still a little bit raw. Maybe he needs, just a loan spell. A couple of players need a loan spell, and we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll go out before January, if not, hopefully in the summer. What? Just take it back a little bit to the game tomorrow. What about the mindset coming into this? Because as fans, even everyone's looking at it and saying this could be an easy fixture. It's heavily rotate, and Reading could take advantage of that. So how do you get the players in the right mindset going into this
I
game?
think the one of the biggest things about tomorrow's fixtures is we all know that we are going to heavily rotate the squad, and if we don't get the job done tomorrow, it just means that those players aren't good enough. If you can't
Yeah.
actually, have a good game against a team like Reading, when the other team just performed quite well, I would say we won quite comfortably against Nottingham Forest, then definitely some really big questions need to be asked and some big decisions have to be made, because we can't be having players who aren't good enough at the club for cover. I think even I do understand that you might be okay with a little bit dip in quality when you have to look at your bench, but if your bench isn't able to perform against a team like Reading, then definitely you need to change some things. And I think this is pretty much their last opportunity to actually prove themselves that they're worthy of being at the club, because if they don't perform tomorrow, I don't really see Ten Hag giving any of them any sort of minutes if they don't perform
Yeah.
tomorrow.
That's a very good point, to be fair. If you can't throw Maguire and
Yeah,
Lindelof and McTominay and Fred into a game against Reading and not
exactly.
perform, you seriously need to have a look at your career, lads. That's what I'd say to him. So there is a point to prove there. We can rotate with still keeping that little bit of quality in there against a team like Reading. We actually have a link with Reading. It's through the manager, Mr. Paul Ince, used to be called the governor at the time. I'm not sure if you're aware of the situation. I'm just obviously because you're Gen Z, aren't you? So obviously you was
Yeah.
born after 2000. So obviously this whole debacle kind of happened in the 90s with him moving to Liverpool. If that happened in this modern day, do you still think there'd be as much as an uproar? Because at the time, he didn't go straight from United to Liverpool, but he moved from United to Inter Milan and then to Liverpool after it. But there was a lot of uproar about it. How do you think that had come about at the minute? Or is he even an example of that in
I
recent
think
years?
I think if I have to talk about this era, the one we are in at the moment, I think there would definitely be an uproar, but it would last only 2 weeks, maximum 2 weeks. I
Yeah.
don't think it would go
Yeah.
beyond that. I think people would move on and just be, looking at another thing altogether, because the world moves pretty fast.
Yeah.
Now they'll just find the next thing to actually, fixate on for the next couple of weeks, and then they'll move on from that as well. And except that, I think nowadays I won't even really be that surprised if this sort of a deal happens sometimes, or if a certain player who's played at United decides to move to Liverpool, because I find it really hard to see those sort of loyal players,
Yeah.
in this age. Like in the earlier times, you could definitely say that, player loyalty plays a very, very deep role in football. Uh,
There was more long-term careers,
Exactly.
weren't
Yeah,
they, at
yeah, yeah.
clubs?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now uh, I think now for for any player, the average expectancy for them at a club is not more than 3 years. After 3 years, they
Yeah.
end up, changing clubs, whether it's in the same league, whether they move to a whole complete league altogether. But I don't see players sticking around for long. Obviously, with us, players have stuck around for long, but they just haven't been good enough to actually be there. So yeah, I think now I think even if it happens, it has been normalized a lot. I think it has been normalized a lot as time has flown by, and I think with players, for them, the biggest thing that matters is either how big of a paycheck they're getting and what sort of competitions they're going to be getting when they move to a club. Whether they
Yeah.
want to stick at a club when they're not going to, when they're not going through that good of a time. I find it really hard to spot those sort of players now.
And it happens. It's different leagues have different takes on it. Like in especially the Italian league, you actually have
Yeah.
clubs that own parts of players and stuff like that, and you
Yeah,
have players going from Milan to Inter quite a lot. We've seen that happen frequently,
yeah, yeah.
loads of times. So it's interesting to see how it's
There's a lot
perceived
of
in
shuffling.
different
There's a lot of
countries.
shuffling, and you can see, like, I think in the recent years it was Kalinoglu who moved from AC Milan to Inter
Yep,
Milan. Uh,
Zlatan as well
Zlatan as
plays for
well.
both. Yeah,
There have been loads of players, Juventus, Inter, AC Milan. You can see that
yeah,
happening between Napoli and Lazio and Roma as well. Yeah, I mean, you can see it is, the players move in between the biggest clubs, the biggest rival clubs in there. And of course, in the Bundesliga, we all know that whenever something happens, Bayern just go out and buy that player or manager or captain. So
yeah,
that sort of competition doesn't exist in the Bundesliga. But yes, I think it still exists in a way in La Liga. I think to a certain bit it does exist in La Liga even now, but I think that is also dying out a bit now because we can see a
yeah.
lot of deals happening in between the top, biggest clubs out there in La Liga as well.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of comments in the chat. I'll read out very quickly. Shrinde is in the cut, as always, a regular on the show. Thank you for tuning in. Big up yourself. You're saying yellow. Lies around me. A couple of comments about Vegas as well. This guy, Wow, is going to be awesome for United. He will, if the players learn his movements, he'll score more than 10 plus goals. A big shout there from Lies around me. Zoe's media house is in the house. Another regular. Thank you for tuning in. Saying, evening guys, would you sign Wout on a permanent? He looks decent. I'll let you answer that question, Shreyas.
Not taking any decisions till the end of the season.
That's a
I
sensible
think,
comment.
yeah, I think we
Yeah,
can take our time. Once again, it is a loan deal. We have the freedom of actually, taking our entire time on that. Because, and I think the best part about is the ball is in our court now, whether we want to, have him on a permanent or not. Because Weghorst has pretty much come out publicly and said that he wants to stay at Manchester
yeah,
United.
yeah,
So it is up to United whether they want to, actually keep him at the club or not. Because I think if he is able to deliver, I think he could be a decent option to have off the bench. I think for a backup striker who is able to press a lot, who is able to bring a lot of energy, and whenever we are pressing, he's able to link and he is able to press as a unit. I think he does bring that sort of profiling to our team. But whether Ten Hag wants to go in for a completely different, backup striker, whether he wants a main striker to be that target man and he wants someone who is versatile enough to play in all the front three positions to be as backup, that is something that, I think will be checked on because once again, we're going to be having new ownership. We're going to be having a lot of changes at the club by the time the next season kicks in. You never know whether it's Weghorst. You could probably be seeing, the biggest players at Manchester United leaving by the time next season kicks
yeah.
in because you never know what the new owners want and how they want to operate the club.
Yeah. As always, guys, make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, please. We're pushing for 1,100 subs, so if you can make that happen, I'd be unbelievably grateful. Again, I want to bring it back to the game. We'll talk a little bit more about individual players. Sorry, a little bit later on. When we look at the history between both the clubs, Manchester United and Reading, I was having a little deep dive before. We played 22 times between each other, and United have only lost once, which was back in 1927. The past 2 fixtures was actually in the FA Cup in 2017 under Jose Mourinho when we won 4-0. Rooney, Martial and Rashford scoring twice. And then under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in 2019 when we won 2-0, Juan Mata and Lukaku scoring in that game as well. So the history books, really, really good. Really in our favour. In regards to players available for this, big rumours that Jadon Sancho will be back in the squad for this one. Question mark still on Dalot, Tuanzebe, and I think Luke Shaw was ill for the last game. So whether he'll be available or not, he'll probably get rested anyway, for being completely honest. But how are you feeling about the return? And people in the comment section as well get involved. How are you feeling about the return of Jadon Sancho, and what are you expecting in his return?
I actually expect him to actually, just pretty much show what we have been missing so far of that wing position. I think he'll be raring to go. He'll be looking to actually cement that winging position right now, because I think this is the perfect time for him to make a comeback as well. Antony definitely has been getting better and better by the time as the weeks have progressed. He looks better. He definitely has been working on his game, and you can see that slowly and steadily the mistakes that he has been doing, they are declining, and they're declining significantly. So I think, but still, he's yet to reach that point. Whether Sancho is able to reach that point before him, he could take his spot in that team. He looks really fit. He looks, actually, I think he looks really when you just see a player and you just see that you can just say that that they worked on this time off. You can see that on his face and with his body language as well. So really excited to actually see how Sancho kicks off. If he starts tomorrow, definitely a lot of eyes are gonna be at him, and we do need him. We definitely do need him because I don't want us to be counting on Garnacho week in and week out. As good as he's been a phenomenal winger. He's been phenomenal when he has to come in at the big games during the last 5 or 10 minutes. He has been delivering for us for quite some time. But I think when you have someone like Sancho, then you can say that you got Garnacho who can come off of the left or probably right.
Yeah.
Then you got Sancho as well, who's actually a really established player. He's got the talent. He can perform under pressure situations and as well. So yeah, I think it's good. I think it definitely adds to our squad depth. For a change, we can just look at our squad and say that this guy can come in at the 50th or 55th minute and actually deliver something rather than just providing us energy during the game. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for Sancho, and hopefully he has a good outing tomorrow.
I'm not sure if you was in the preview that we did in the last one, but I had a look again. I did some, because I do my research and I check my facts and all that kind of stuff. I had a look at when the last time Jadon Sancho was in a squad, and it was West Ham. I mean, when we beat West Ham, and Rashford scored the winner. Yeah. And that was the last time he was in the squad, and then the last time he started was against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, which is insane, absolutely mental to think we've gone that long. 16 games without seeing him play in the side, considering the fee involved and stuff. But we know Ten Hag, he knows what he's doing, done it. So exactly. A lot of people are expecting him to perform.
And for everyone, I think I would just say Jadon Sancho is a typical Ten Hag player. Like if Ten Hag, even if he goes out and buys a new winger, he'll buy a winger who would actually be like Jadon Sancho, because the quality that Jadon Sancho has, the profile that he brings, and the way he, the things that he does on the pitch, that's what Ten Hag practically wants from his wingers to do. So
look what he did with Tadic.
Exactly.
It's a similar thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think Jadon Sancho is far more talented than Tadic. So I think Ten Hag could definitely get a very, very, good player out of Jadon Sancho. And Ten Hag has been brilliant up until now with every player that he's handled. He's been able to, and especially when it comes to young players, he's been able to pretty much redefine Marcus Rashford this season. He's been able to carve out Alejandro Garnacho. He's been working really up close with Antony as well. Then you've got the likes of Malacia who have been coming in, Martinez. So Ten Hag knows how to deal with players and how to, get them back to their best.
Yeah, and some very positive comments from Liza around me and Zoe's Media House as well. If you see that his latest training picture, he looks slimmer. He's going to be like a new player. He's had a serious one-to-one training session. Is going to be all guns blazing. If Zoe's Media House says if Jadon Sancho returns with the same form as Marcus Rashford, wow, it's going to be a good second half to the season. That's what I mean. He could come back, and if he's absolutely flying in form, it's great to have that competition.
Exactly, because definitely we're seeing the kind of difference that Marcus Rashford is able to bring, and whenever he's on the pitch, and when he's on the ball, you expect something to happen, because right now Marcus Rashford is scoring goals out of nowhere. Whenever he wants to score a
Yeah.
goal, he's pretty much scoring goals. If Sancho is able to bring that from the other wing, we'll actually look like a really, really lethal force, and it will be a field day for whether Martial is playing or whether Weghorst is playing. I think it will be a field day for them in front of goal.
Do you have a preference for which side he plays?
I don't know. I genuinely don't have a preference, because I think he's talented enough to actually function in all the front three
Yeah.
positions, whether it is as a 10, whether it is as a right winger or a left winger. I think he can function as either of the front, either of those three positions, because he's got the vision to play in any single position. And what Sancho brings is his link up play and his passing and his crossing ability. So
Yeah.
for someone
I'm
like
excited.
Weghorst, yeah, for someone like
So
Weghorst,
yeah.
yeah, we could probably be seeing finally be getting to see loads of crosses getting into him. So it would be pretty exciting to finally see that happen.
Yeah, fingers crossed. What was your main concerns with him? Just obviously everyone has this a similar analysis to what was going. But for you, what was your main concerns before he went off of this individual program?
I think one of the things was, ever since the season started, he was getting off by the 65th or 70th minute.
Yeah,
After the Leicester game, he never looked, that fit. He never had that sharpness in front of goal as well. Uh, he was hesitating in running towards defenders and taking them on. He used to pass the ball backwards, or just pass the ball more centrally, when he could definitely just take the fullback on and just go in for a cross. So I think he was losing his confidence, and it was quite evident for any person who was seeing Jadon Sancho, and his fitness was a big concern as well. That's why we could see players like Garnacho actually getting a start ahead of him in certain games, and I think even Jadon Sancho realized that, and I think the World Cup was a big wake up call for him, because when he saw that he's
yeah.
not in that squad, he knew that something has gone wrong terribly. So I think that's when probably his attitude changed as well, and he knew that he has to make it back into this United squad to actually have some sort of future.
And the penalty miss as well in the Euros would have had a big effect on him.
Yeah, yeah,
So he's had to deal with quite a lot of things mentally, Sancho. So hopefully he comes back in the right mind frame. Looks like he's smiling and stuff in training. Looks a lot slimmer. So you can only be excited to see what the lineup's going to be tomorrow in terms of the
yeah.
attacking players. Now I've got a section here called "You're Only as Good as Your Last Game." I want to quickly reflect on our last game against Forest, Reyes, because I haven't really spoken to you in depth about it yet. Obviously, a cup competition as well. Just your thoughts on the performance in general. What do you think?
I think that once again, the difference that Casemiro makes in a team could definitely be seen. Uh, I think once again, I think Marcus Rashford is just unstoppable at the moment. The way he scored that goal, like it just glided, he just glided past two defenders, and went in for a goal. I think, it was the most effortless goal that I've ever seen Marcus Rashford score. Like, he didn't even accelerate a lot. He didn't really dribble. He just, sprinted right in, went in for tried to cut it inside and just went for a goal. And then probably, I think it was one of the best goals that I've seen from Rashford. And
Yeah.
except that, I think Weghorst finally getting a goal was really, really good to see. Finally, he was able to score his first goal for United.
Yes.
Got his first goal
Big
before,
Veg.
got his first goal before Cody Gakpo. So once again, I think it was a very good team performance. Once again, couldn't see Pelistri live. Whenever I'm asleep, that's when Ten Hag decides to sub him on.
Yeah.
So
What was your thoughts on Plestri's cameo? Have you seen it? Did you watch it back? I'm
yeah,
guessing.
10 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think apart from that one misplaced pass when he conceded a free kick, except for that, I think once again he had a really good cameo. I think he looked decent once again. He had good control over the ball. He looked quite electric off that wing, and once again that young spark, like the spark that Garnacho brings, he was able to bring that spark from the right side, and he linked up quite well with Weghorst, and everyone who was playing alongside him. He was able to link up quite well with them as well. So, with the players who are going on loan outside now, and now that he's not going out on loan, he could probably be an option to feature for us in the bench in the games that we're winning
Yeah.
convincingly.
Mm. Few more comments. Sorry, they're flying in a minute. So is BD House. Jadon Sancho is still young. Still has about 10 years to perform and become the best in the world. So yeah, we've got patience with him for sure. Danish Iqbal saying everything is secondary change in ownership. In ownership is primary. Glazers out. Absolutely, we stand behind that message. Obviously, our colours are green and gold. We always stand behind that message of Glazers out. Hopefully, will come within the next month or so. Zoe's Media House again says, I guarantee Jadon Sancho has been working with Benny McCarthy, just like Marcus Rashford. It's a very good point. We've seen the transformation that he's done with Marcus as well. And then Danish again says, don't you think Rashford just turns off his nitro after he scores one and continues his consecutive scoring run? I have felt that. He has got burners, hasn't he? When he gets on the ball, Marcus. I want to actually go through the goals, Shreyas, the goals that we scored. So Rashford, you've already kind of touched on there. What about Weghorst? Obviously, Anthony does quite well for it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think perfect poacher's goal once again. He was in the right position at the right time and just went for goal, and good finish from him as well. And that's, pretty much what actually Weghorst brings. He's not, that sort of a player who gets in behind the defenders that much. He's not got the pace for it, but he has that, he has that smartness to be in the right position at the right time. Whenever you cross in the ball for him, he's really, really good at hitting the ball. And except that, I think whenever you want to, press a team on the front foot, you should definitely start Weghorst, because the pressure that he is able to, I think he just amplifies the pressure. What Bruno is able to bring, and what Anthony and Rashford and the others are able to bring, he's able to streamline it, and that's why we are able to press with much more intensity. So I think Weghorst was definitely, I think his first game was a bit off, but ever since that, I think even in the Arsenal game, for me, he was really, really good in that game as well.
One of the things I said as soon as I found out we were signing Weghorst was, if Ten Hag wants him, he knows he's going to do a specific job. And we haven't had that kind of player for a long, long time at Manchester United. And I said, one of the other things I said is, he'll become that nucleus in the middle. He'll attract players because of his physicality and his work rate. And then that'll leave space for Rashford. And I think Rashford, as weird as it might sound to a lot of people, Rashford is playing a lot better now because Weghorst is there. In regards to when Ronaldo was there. Like he does with Martial's in the team. The benefit of it, both wingers benefit from Weghorst being in that team. So as much as a lot of people might not say he's not the star signing that you want, he's not a Haaland, I understand it. I completely get that. But for the budget that Ten Hag got given to go and get a player, he's done all right with him so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think he's actually smart. Scout actually looked into his profile. He's looked and scouted into him because he knew the amount of funds that he would be working with. And then, out of all the strikers that we were linked with, out of all the possible, options that we could have actually gone in for, I think there definitely would be something that drew him towards Weghorst. And we can see when the name got announced, I think most of the fans knew why he's gone in for Weghorst, because he wants that physical striker and someone who's actually different to Anthony Martial. Because if you have to compare it, Martial brings something different to the team. Weghorst is able to bring something completely different to the teams, and that's what you want. If you do want players who play in the same position, but they offer something different to the team. And that's why we've been doing so well with Luke Shaw and Malacia. Luke Shaw is able to bring composure, he's able to bring ball control, and he's able to, drive the ball forward quite well.
Malacia, someone who's reliable as well. That's what
exactly.
You want.
With Malacia, you've got aggressiveness. You've got someone who's really, really rapid on the ball. He can go full lengths without even breaking a sweat. So you've got different profiles to actually work with in that position, and that's pretty much what Ten Hag has done in the striker department as well.
Can I just say, we've had a comment. If anyone who knows me, we've had the comment of the century here from Danish Iqbal. Let me just read this comment out. I'm absolutely purring at this. If we got Frankie de Jong in the summer, our midfield of Frankie de Jong, Casemiro, Bruno will be one of the best in the world, or I can say the best. I can absolutely stand behind that message. Anyone who knows that Real Reds Talk knows my feelings for Frankie de Jong and knows my thoughts on that midfield. If you get de Jong, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes in the midfield, game over. Game over, mate. I'm telling you. Absolutely. Whew. Thank you for that comment. Just cheered me Friday up.
You never know. Someone better than Frankie de Jong could pop up as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that. We'll leave that for because we don't know what's going to go on with the summer, do we? The new ownership, etc. So we'll just have to wait and see again with that. Last thing, just on a couple of individual players. We spoke a little bit about Rashford there. Seems like we're speaking about him every week now. Trey has 10 goals in 10 games. One of the most informed talents in Europe at the minute. When do we start considering him in the same breath as some of the best in the world right now? I was looking before. in someone in this position who I'm a massive fan of as well, Vinicius Junior,
Yeah.
6 goals and 3 assists so far this season. So he's got more than that so far. He's on the same amount of goals as Karim Benzema this season as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, that means he's better than Benzema. Of course not. And I know it's
Yeah.
not all about statistics, etc. But when do we consider him amongst some of these elite pros?
I think he definitely has the talent. I think once again the debate about Marcus Rashford has always been whether is he just a really really good player, a really really special player, or whether he is a world class player. And right
Yeah,
now, I think Rashford is breaking into that world class category because the way he's performing at the moment, he's pretty much dragging defenders left and right, just ripping apart the whole defenses and going in for goal. And he's been doing really really well. He's been really consistent, and he's been a leader in our team in that attack. So I think if he's able to continue this for the rest of the season as well, definitely a conversation needs to be had about Marcus Rashford. Uh, because once again, he's the way he's performing and the talent that he brings. There's never been a question about his talent, even when he wasn't really performing that great. We all knew that it is not a question about talent. There's something different. There's something definitely different going on with him because every United fan has seen what Marcus Rashford can do, and in his day, he can practically score goals from any area on the pitch, whether it's long shots, whether it's free kicks, and when it comes to big games, he knows how to turn up in those big games as well, and he knows how to deliver for Manchester United.
What do you think has changed in his game now, though, to be? Can you look at him last season and all they got to Solskjaer? It's a completely different player, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think last season the only thing that he used to do, he used to run into blind alleys, and whenever he
Yeah,
used to get around the box, he used to overthink a lot. He used to think twice before crossing or passing, or he just used to go for goal, which didn't work out. So, and now this season there is more directness towards his game. He knows his strengths, and he's working on, and he's been playing to his strengths as well. That's the best thing about Marcus Rashford at the moment, because he knows that he's got the pace. That's why he's able to glide past defenders. And I think he's worked a lot on his physicality, because the way that he's just pushing defenders, the way he's able to go past
yeah,
them at the moment is. I think the game against Wolves, the way he scored that goal, for me that just shows that how far Rashford has come this season, and definitely his game has elevated. I think one of the things under Oli was he wasn't getting any development as a young player, because all he used to, I think all he used to be coached was, you need to run, you need to get in behind on the counter attack and just go for goal.
yeah.
Now under
Very simple,
yeah,
simple coaching on it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and now under Ten Hag, he's been getting, you can actually see the difference. You can see him passing a lot more. You can see him pressing a lot more. You can see him much more involved during the build-up play as well, and he's one of the focal points of our attack.
yeah. And Benny McCarthy, as Zoe Media's house puts in the chat there. He's pivotal to Rashford's rise as well. He deserves massive credit. So big up Marcus Rashford. I can see all your comments in the thing. I just want to get into the quick fire questions, and we'll try to read out some towards the end. So quick fire questions time, Shreyas. Will we score more than 2 goals tomorrow? People in the comment section get involved as well, of course. Will we score more than 2?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Will Palestri start?
Yes.
Will Reading score?
No.
Give me a percentage on the chances of us losing tomorrow night.
If Maguire plays 50-50, if Maguire doesn't play 80-20.
If you was to guess how far we will go in this tournament, what would you say?
Semi-finals.
Semi-finals. I think that's fair. Love that. Very quick fire as always. Predicted 11s. Do you wanna go for it?
Yeah. I think David De Gea net once again. Then I think of the right back position, you've got Wan-Bissaka. Because once again there is nothing. I think there is no news about Dello up until now, whether he's ready, whether he's fit or not. So no need to rush him back if he's injured. So I think once again we could be seeing Wan-Bissaka, then Lindelof and Maguire, and because Maguire, I think at a certain point he will have to start. So I think this is the best game for him to start, because even if things go wrong, we won't really, it won't hurt that much, whether as much it would hurt to start him in the Premier League. So Maguire and Lindelof, then I think Malacia gets a start at left back, then in midfield McFred, and I think Bruno might be rested tomorrow, and we could be seeing Eriksen play as a 10 just to save him, because he's been playing practically every single game, and that too for the full 90 minutes. So, and the way that he works, his work rate on the pitch is insane. So I definitely don't want Bruno getting injured, because you can see the quality drop when Bruno is not on the pitch. So
Yeah.
I think Bruno could be rested tomorrow as well, and we could be seeing Eriksen play, and Garnacho and Pellistri of the wings, and probably Weghorst if Martial is fit. Then Martial could play, or except that I think just Jadon Sancho, if he's ready to go, then I think Sancho starts on the left wing.
Oh, straight from the start. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I've gone with a slightly different team. I've gone with Butland in net. I think Wan-Bissaka, because the exact same reasons what you said. There's no Dalot, so he'll start right back. Maybe Brandon Williams, maybe, but I don't know. He hasn't. I don't think he's featured under Ten Hag so far at the minute. So I'll say Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof. But I don't know what he's like with game time, because Lissandro came back from the World Cup. He's only played a couple. He's still relatively fresh.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he played Lissandro. But I think it'll be Maguire, Lindelof, Malacia at left back, McTominay, Fred, and Kobe Mainoo as a three in midfield. I think they'll go for maybe Fred a bit pushed on, or Mainoo. And then I think Pellistri, Weghorst, and Garnacho. I think he starts with maybe a more senior figure in the attack line, and Anthony or Rashford just in case to keep that level up. But I think for sure it'll go for that. A few more comments. Everyone's popping off in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in on a Friday night. Really appreciate it. Shah Sam says needs to work on delivering more crosses. I think that's in regards to Rashford, but yeah, Shreya's touched on that before. That's what Sancho might do when he comes back in, but Rashford does need to work on that, and Anthony, to be fair as well. Weghorst is in the middle. Put your crosses into him, man. Hulk Hogan saying I'll be there tomorrow. I think he means for the watch along. So thank you for the support. Danish, don't forget one touch passes off Weghorst during the counter attacks. Yeah, he drops deep, links up play really well. Yeah. I'm happy with that. Lies around me. Reason we better play now is reason we're better now because players are actually being coached. Yes, of course. Zoe's Media House. I pray every transfer window for God to bring us Joshua Kimmich. Big fan of Kimmich there. It's a must-win game to get back to a good run, says Hulk Hogan. I've gone with Butland also as well, and Kobe Mainoo should start. That's coming from Danish again. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the lineup tomorrow. Like we said, it's not a fucking sparkly game. Everyone is Reading in the FA Cup. We 9 times out of 10 we beat them when you look at the history books. But it's still the reason why I'm excited for this show is because players like Pellistri, Garnacho, these type of games where they'll get more minutes and you've got more to work with than when you're identifying them as a talent, you can see them for maybe a full half or 60 minutes. That's why it's interesting. What about score predictions? What do you think?
I think once again a 3-0 win.
3-0. I've gone for 3-0 as well. Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. That concludes the previews for today, guys. Get your score predictions in the comment section. Smash a like on the video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on social media. Check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter for regular updates, transfer updates, clips from the show. And various different posts on the Instagram. Sam's doing a wonderful job over there on that, so make sure you check that as well. And as stated before, I'll be live an hour before kickoff on YouTube and TikTok at 7 o'clock. So come and join me for the team news, and we'll go through it together. Shreyas, thank you for coming on, man. Any final thoughts before you head off?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, hopefully we get a convincing win tomorrow and go on a good run.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. 8 o'clock kickoff tomorrow. Come and join me for the watch along. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate every single one of you. Take care. Have a nice weekend.